Hello, everyone. Thank you for making time to join us. My name is Harv Nagra. I'm head of brand comms here at Scoro, and hopefully, some of you know that I host the Handbook, the Operations podcast. If you don't, you should definitely subscribe. Available on Apple and Spotify, on all those great places. And I actually used to be a Scoro customer, like many of you on the call. I was an in-house group operations director at a multi-entity agency, and alongside our group finance director, we selected and implemented Scoro for our business. It had a huge positive impact on our ways of working, and it was a huge part of our maturity journey as well. And in fact, I loved it so much that I joined the team here a few years ago. And again, most of you are customers, so you know what Scoro is and what it looks like. But for anybody that doesn't, Scoro is a professional services automation platform, or a PSA, which means it's designed for businesses like yours that sell time and expertise. And it's a platform that brings together your quoting, your resourcing, project management, time and expense tracking, your reporting, all into one place, a single source of truth. It can plug into your third-party platforms like your accounting tools, whether you're using platforms like Xero, QuickBooks, or Sage, your HR platforms like Bamboo HR to sync time off, CRM, if you use a CRM, and loads of other systems. You can even now use Scoro's MCP to connect it to Claude or ChatGPT or your other LLM of choice. So you can use those platforms to get answers, take actions in Scoro, or even coordinate things across multiple tools. For those of you who aren't using Scoro, I'm not going to spend that much time focusing on orienting you on the interface today. You'll want to go to scoro.com/demo to arrange a meeting where the Scoro team can take you on a tour for that. Okay. But on to today's topic. AI is pretty much the topic right now, right? And it has been for the past few years. And every industry is asking the same question. What does AI actually mean for us? And how can we use it to make our delivery and operations more efficient? And here, I think agencies and consultancies and professional services businesses of all kinds have a lot to gain. When what you're essentially selling is your time and expertise, anything that improves efficiency is obviously a huge deal. So we've been thinking really hard about that at Scoro. What does AI mean for the way professional services firms sell, plan, track, and invoice their work? And what can we do to make sure that you are all ahead of the AI train, not catching up to it, right? So we see that as part of our mission. And that's why we're here today. Eli is Scoro's answer to that question. It's what we call Scoro's AI coworker built right into the platform. And today I'm going to show you what Eli can already do, walk you through the vision behind it, and give you a sneak peek at what's coming soon, which is some of the stuff that I'm really excited about. Okay, so let's kick off. Let's take a look at the agenda. This is what we're getting into today. I'm going to start with the big picture, the AI opportunity in professional services, where we see the biggest gains for firms like yours, and how Scoro is positioned to help you get there. Then I'll get into Eli specifically, what it can already do for you and your team, and how people are using it to automate the busy work and move quicker. After that, I'll take you through a live demo, share some real practical ways Eli can change the way you and your team work day to day. Okay. And then we'll close out with a look at what's just around the corner for Eli. There's a lot to cover in the next 50 minutes or so. Okay. Some quick housekeeping before we jump in. Please use the Q&A tab to send in your questions as they come up. You can ask with your name or anonymously. It's up to you. Either way, our team will be answering questions live in the chat, so everyone can just see the answers as we go. If we get more questions than we can cover live, we'll follow up after the webinar. And just to note, we obviously can't follow up if you tick the anonymous button, right? So please do share your name if you can. We had originally intended to do a live Q&A, but there's so much content to cover that I don't think we're going to have time. So we're using the text Q&A tab for that. We're also going to be running a couple of polls during the session. Please do take part in that. It helps us understand where you're at and just makes it a little bit more interactive. And of course, this session is being recorded. So if you need to step away or want to share it with a colleague, which I hope you will, so everyone has a bit of inspiration, we'll send the recording to your inbox afterwards. And do share it with your colleagues if you're a customer, so they've got some inspiration on how to use Scoro AI and Eli, and And if you're not a customer, please share it as well. Your team and your colleagues can see what is possible in Scoro. Every professional services firm runs on this loop that you can see on screen, right? We need to sell the work, plan and resource the team, track progress and time, and invoice the client. You know this loop, you live it every day. And if you're using Scoro, you're already winning because that entire loop runs on one connected data set in one system. Your quotes, your projects, your time, your budgets, your invoice. It's not five disconnected data sets and systems that you're stitching together. It's all in one system, one source of truth. Even before we get into the benefits of AI, this is what deep automation looks like, right? Not having to use tools like Zapier to connect systems and create some fragile triggers and actions, but the bulk of this loop is in the same system, reusing the data you input across the full workflow. Right. Again, a lot of times I think when we think of the word automation, I used to be this way. I used to think of it kind of building these triggers and actions through third-party tools and thinking that's what automation is. But professional services automation or PSA platform, you can tell by the name, it is deeply embedded. And that's the purpose of a platform like this, that the data flows throughout and you're not trying to stitch things together manually. And that matters obviously more than ever right now because that connected data is exactly what makes Scoro's AI powerful. This is the thing about AI in general that doesn't get talked about enough, I think. AI is only as good as the data that it has access to and how synchronized and up to date that data is. When you're using the general AI tool, looking at disconnected systems and out of sync data, those tools can guess, they can try to summarize what's happening, but they have a hard time with accuracy when things are completely out of sync and they're outdated and sitting in dozens of systems and spreadsheets. The problem is also that despite it not being accurate, if the data is scattered and outdated, it still gives you a confident answer, right? Which is worse than not using any AI at all. When your AI platform's kind of just giving you a confident answer, but you can't trust what it's saying, that is a big risk. Scoro's AI doesn't have that problem because everything already lives in one place. Because everything already lives in one place, Eli isn't just able to take actions on your behalf. It can actually understand and analyze your projects and what's happening in your business as it happens. And what I mean by that is real numbers, real context, real history, not estimates or guesses. That's the difference in our view between an AI tool that sounds confident and one that is actually confident and accurate. And that's what makes Eli and Scoro's AI more than just another chatbot. The way we see it, Eli is a digital counterpart to your team, and it's built on everything Scoro already knows about your business and about your projects. It sits alongside your people and can take on real tasks across the board. So, not just answering questions, but building reports, managing bookings, checking projects. And so your team can focus on the more important work and what needs their judgment. But I want to be clear here, this is not about shrinking your team. It's about making the team that you already have more capable and efficient. Your people can stay focused on the work that needs their attention, their relationships, and their expertise, which is exactly what operational efficiency looks like, right? And with Eli, we're just getting started on that front. Right now, Eli works on individual skills, things like building a report, checking a project's health, balancing workloads, and logging time in bulk. So those are the kinds of skills that we've been working on today. Okay. You can see them on screen. And by the way, this isn't a comprehensive list under each category. It's just an example of some of the things that we've been working on. Over time, we're combining those related skills into dedicated agents. Okay. And that's a word you hear a lot. And sometimes there's not a lot of clarity what that means. The way I think about that is that these are not just abstract AI products, but more like digital counterparts to the people already on your team. So, say you have a project manager running your projects. Now, imagine adding an AI project manager alongside them for them to use. The AI project manager has a defined skill set. It's working in the same methods as your project manager is working with, but handling all the parts that don't need human judgment. Between the two of them, your project manager gets significantly more done than they ever could without their AI counterpart. And the same can go for your resource manager or your ops lead. Each one can get an AI counterpart purpose built for their part of the workflow. And you'll be able to shape that digital team to fit how your business works, defining which agents work with who, what skills they carry, what context they operate in, and when they kick in. And in the longer term, the vision we have for Eli is to almost act like a chief of staff that coordinates the whole team of agents. Eli would know which one to bring in for each part of the job, or for each job, rather. This means that growth no longer has to mean adding headcount. When your team's getting more efficient through AI, you can take on more work, you can serve more clients, and hit bigger targets. And all of that without the hiring costs and the onboarding that previously came with scaling. Essentially, in a world where everything's moving faster and there's an incredible amount of pressure that professional services businesses, agencies, and consultancies are under, this kind of operational efficiency obviously really matters. And that is the direction that we're really heading into fast at Scoro. And to be completely honest with you, exactly how fast and in which order we tackle things, that depends a lot on what our customers are telling us. So your feedback is super important. And because the space is moving so quickly, we'd rather stay close to what you actually need rather than locking ourselves into a fixed plan. So, to our customers, please do share your feedback and ideas with us. The best way to do that really is to use Eli in your Scoro accounts. Ask it to answer something or do something for you. Once you get your result, there's a thumbs up or a thumbs down icon in that chat. And once you hit that, you can share your feedback, particularly if something didn't go as expected. Of course, please share your positive feedback if you're impressed how something works. But if something didn't quite go as expected, click that thumbs down, share your feedback. That is how our team prioritizes what we should be working on, what our customers are interested in doing with the AI. So, in a few minutes, I'm going to share exactly what this all starts to look like in a demo, how individual contributors, project managers, and your senior leaders can all get shortcuts to the things that matter most to them. But let's start off with what Eli can do for you. Okay. First of all, there's insights. Eli can build you a report that nobody else has built yet, right? So instead of jumping into filters and picking the right fields, you can just describe what you're looking for. And as long as that data exists in Scoro, Eli will pull it together on the spot. Eli can also help you assess your project's health. Instead of piecing together task lists, budget updates, and team availability to figure out whether a project's on track, you can just ask Eli. It pulls together everything and gives you a clear picture. What's going on, what's going well, what's slipping, and what needs attention right away. This can help you stay ahead of problems and get there faster than you could ever do manually, trying to get that picture together yourself. Resource planning is one of those things that sometimes can sound straightforward, but obviously, those of us that have done it or been involved in operations or resourcing know that it can get very complicated. So, Eli can look across your team's workload. It can look at your plan tasks, your log time, who's got capacity, and help you make sense of it. And if you use bookings in Scoro, Eli goes even further. It can compare the booked hours against the actual work and flag conflicts. It can also help you coordinate a meeting across multiple people and time zones. So Eli finds a slot that works for everyone, checks conflicts, sets it all up in one go, including a meeting agenda if you ask it to do that, which I'm going to demo shortly. Quoting and estimating are things Eli can also help with. So instead of starting with a blank quote and manually starting to drop your line items or your quote templates in, you can share your notes with Eli and it'll draft and stage that quote for you. Then you can, with Eli, polish the quote and get it ready for sharing with your client, all in a matter of minutes. Eli can also help you with day-to-day admin stuff. It can update your tasks, log your time, summarize your project's progress, and flag overdue tasks and do that all at once without you needing to do that for each task. By the way, we actually use Scoro at Scoro to manage all of our work. We use the calendar to plan our days and even need to timesheet what we're working on all day. And I'll admit, even though I was a power user and champion with Scoro at my past agency, occasionally I'll ask Eli for a reminder on how to do something or change a setting. It saves me having to go into the help desk or asking somebody. So that's really a great way to use it. So I'm going to switch into my demo mode. Just bear with me a second. All right, you should be able to see my screen, which is the Scoro homepage dashboard. Let's start with a quick look at how Eli works. You'll see it in the menu bar. You can click on it and it'll open up in a window. It can be pinned to the sidebar, popped out, resized, dragged around, minimized, all that kind of stuff. And you can also access your chat history, so you can go back to any previous conversation and continue where you left off. But now let's get on with the use cases. I'm going to show you a variety of these that are going to be applicable to different kinds of roles in your business. So the first one won't be that hard to play pretend. Let's imagine our clients have changed their plans a bit, right? Shocking, that never happens. They need another stakeholder to get involved. We're about to kick off the project in a few weeks, but they've asked us to postpone it by 4 weeks and put it on hold for now. And fine, that's annoying, but not unreasonable. Regardless of what we plan, things come up and need to shift. But updating all of that manually is a pain. So let's go into one of our projects. You can see all the tasks here. This is what a project task list looks like in Scoro. You can see a huge number of them. They all say plan. They start around the 10th of August. Let's take a look at the Gantt chart view. There it is. Okay, with all the dates set up and so on. So let's get Eli to help postpone this project. So I'm gonna take my prompt, I'm gonna open up Eli and I'm gonna pop it in. Okay, it says this project's been postponed 4 weeks. Move the start time of all tasks by 4 weeks and put them on hold status. And again, over in the task list, you can see these were all set to planned status. Okay, it's asking, shall I go ahead? I haven't really read that in detail, but assuming it was right, let's say go ahead. We should be able to see this Gantt chart move in just a moment. So now, rather than us manually going into each task to change the status and shift dates one by one, we're getting Eli to do it in one go. And that's going to save us so much time, especially if project timelines need to change often. This was actually something my past agency, oh, there we go, dealt with a lot. I'm going to minimize this or close it, and we can move over about 4 weeks or so. And let's open up Eli and see what it had said. Sorry. All done. Here's a summary what was updated. 12 tasks shifted by 4 weeks. Okay. Something that was about to start on the 10th has been moved 4 weeks, 28 days to the 7th, and so on. And let's see if it's updated the task and put them on hold. It has. Okay. I'm just going to go back to what I was saying. This was something I actually dealt with a lot at my past agency. We worked with property and destination clients, and there was constant delays in client feedback and content that we needed from them. So plans were always shifting. And so Eli's in this case pulling data from a lot of different places at once: tasks, date, statuses, and making sure it's verified what you've asked it to do before I asked whether we wanted to proceed. And again, in this kind of context, a simple question gets a quick answer, a complex one takes a little bit longer. And remember, this is actually a bit like having an actual assistant, right? It doesn't mean the result is instant, but it means it's doing the work for you, so you can get on with doing other stuff while you've assigned Eli to do some work in the background. Okay. So, like I said, the project dates have been shifted in the Gantt, in the task list, and the statuses have changed. And of course, if this project was already in progress or some tasks had been completed, Eli would, of course, leave those alone and just focus on the ones that were outstanding. Pretty straightforward example there. Let's move into scenario two. Okay. I'm going to go back to the homepage dashboard for this one. And let me just set the context. Imagine we've just come back from holiday, right? 2 weeks of sunshine and bliss, and now we're back in business. It's time to catch up. Normally, that means digging back through every project one by one, getting some handovers from our teammates to figure out what's happened while we were gone and all that kind of stuff. That can get overwhelming, especially after the huge volume of emails we need to catch up and stuff like that when we're back. So let's get Eli to help us out. I've got a prompt here. I'm going to pop it into Eli and say, I've been off on holiday for 2 weeks. Summarize the progress on ongoing projects and tell me if anything needs my attention. Okay. So again, instead of me opening up every single project and piecing it together myself, I can just ask Eli for the highlights, right? It'll go through each active project, check what's moved, and flag anything that looks off. This is the kind of thing that that can eat up your whole first day back. Well, after those emails, right? And you don't have to now do it by yourself, or necessarily rely on your colleagues to do a proper handover back to yourself. Eli's thinking now, just like ChatGPT or Claude would be when you put a complex prompt in. They need time to fetch your information and crawl through all the kind of interlinked data webs to understand what's happening, and should be giving us an answer in just a moment. Let me just pop that one in the meantime. And there we go. We've got some actions. Let's take a look what it said. Okay. So it's giving us a rundown of high priority action items. It's telling us what happened across your six active projects. We have a lot of overdue invoices and one project heading towards the deadline with significant work outstanding. Okay, so now it's flagging the projects with urgent actions. Only 43% of tasks complete, two are overdue by 2 weeks, 18 days to deadline, and so on. Okay, it's telling us overdue invoices, what's worth keeping an eye on, and what's looking good. Okay, and flagging various issues with various team members. So I can then take further action there, right? And let's just say I want to see the overdue invoices in particular, because that's quite concerning and we should be chasing that. So again, Eli's going to go check that information and list it for us, so then we can get prioritize what we need to action once we're back from our holidays. Okay. Just going to give a moment to answer that question, and then we can move into our next scenario. There we go. Here are four overdue invoices, totaling 50,000 euros. Okay. 22 days overdue, and so on and so on. So yeah, that's a really great example of how you can use Eli to catch up on what's going on in your business or in your projects. Let's close that and move into scenario three. Okay, we're going to go into a project this time. So up until now, sorry, wrong project. Here we go. I think that's the one I want to look at. That is. Okay, so up until now, we've been typing prompts into Eli, right? Manually. But there's an even quicker way to get started. One-click shortcuts right inside your projects. Right here, you can see analyze project health and get it going. Okay. So let's say we're working on this business advisory project and we want to quickly understand where it's heading and if everything's on track and moving forward. Now, instead of manually opening up Eli's window, we can just click that one click button right there in the project header, and Eli's going to do the project analysis for this exact project for us right away. So now Eli's looking across the whole project at once. It's looking at task progress, deadlines, budget versus actuals, and who's been working on what. It's pulling all of that together into hopefully one clear picture for us. This might take a few seconds. Full project health means Eli's going over a lot of data and cross-checking it all at once. So, but as you can see there, it didn't take too long. Okay, so let's see what it says. Project 79% of the time elapsed. Only 43% of the progress has tasks have been completed, which is concerning. It's flagging critical issues. Okay, what's cost overruns, team issues, what's going well, and immediate actions required. Okay, so again, we could take some of that and prioritize it, but I think the important thing I'd like to highlight here is that we're not getting a wall of text to read through. Eli's giving just a really clear read on where the project stands and what needs our attention. We have a few suggested next steps that we should prioritize, and it's ready to action right there from the chat, whether it's from the follow up prompts that have been shared, or we can just ask our own follow up question or request an action, right? In fact, given how this project is going, one of the things that we can ask Eli is to set up a project meeting to go over the concerns, right? So let me follow up with a prompt that says schedule a project review meeting. Let me just pop that into the chat for you to see. Schedule a project review meeting week of 20th July, that's next week, if everyone is available, and set the bullet point agenda based on the action items on what's slipping and needs our attention. It's going to give Eli a chance to go and do that. So it's switching gears now. It's checking everyone's calendars and availability and finding a slot that actually works for the full team. And you know as well as I do that planning meetings can get a bit complicated if the team's first of all located all over the world, but even if not in different time zones. Just with people's different meetings and schedules, it can be take quite a while to set up the meeting that works for everyone. So if you've set your availability and your time zone properly in Scoro, Eli can go ahead and check everyone's calendar and set a meeting time that works for everyone. So that should be coming back to us in just a moment. Okay, everyone's free week of 20th July, which is fantastic. Here's the agenda and book it, let's say Tuesday. And then we can just check and see if the agenda is there and is set up with everyone we've requested. Okay. That should be done in just a moment. There we go. Okay, let's hop in there and have a look. That is set for Tuesday at 10 a.m., 1 hour meeting, and here is the agenda, right? So all of that stuff without me having to manually go back and forth, finding a time that works for everyone. And the meeting is exactly when we requested it with the details, with the agenda. All right. We're going to go into back to the dashboard for our next scenario. Okay, just so we have a nice clean start. Okay, this one's a fun one. I think you might enjoy it just because it shows how powerful this can get. Let's say we're a management consulting firm and a prospect has just emailed us to request a proposal. They've told us about their business and what they need help with. And now it's on us to turn that into a quote pretty quickly. And instead of reading through it again and again and building the quote ourselves line by line, let's try to hand that over to Eli. Okay, so I'm going to put this prompt in and I'll show you what that says in just a moment. Um, Let me copy it. It's a long one. Here we go. Okay, so let's open Eli. I'm going to pop that in. And if I scroll to the top, it says, help me put together a quote based on this client's email. Okay, it's got a huge bunch of detail. It's not very formatted very nicely when I pasted it in, but that's okay. I'm going to show you what this email says while Eli is going. Okay. So let's take a look. This was the client email that I copied in. It says, hey there, we were referred to you by a contact. We need help with a big project over the next few months, and we're wondering if you could provide us with a quote, some information about where they're based, their staff, what they do, turnover. Some of that might be irrelevant. Uh, Here's what we need help with. We don't know why our margins are shrinking, thinking about expanding into new territories. Processes aren't consistent. What we need: review our ops costs and profit by site and product line. Tell us where we're losing margin. So it's really just a fairly robust operational audit, right? It's telling us where some workshops might need to be and a timeline: start end of July and board presentation by the end of the year, expansion decision for the new territories in Q1. We've got a budget in mind, but we want to hear how you're approaching pricing first. Can you send us a proposal with phases, deliverable teams, and costs, and so on? Okay, so I think I'd set it to go here. And Eli is coming back with a bunch of stuff. Um, A lot of stuff, in fact. So there was a fair amount of work to do, and we'll go and look at some of this in just a moment. But there's multiple line items. It's checking, a huge scope. It's trying to parse through that email, and there's context there in that email that wasn't really relevant. But Eli's kind of pulled all of that apart and mapped it into a quote structure for us. I think. Let's have a look at what it said. Here's the scope outline I've put together for this project, 4 phases using time and material, role-based pricing model, and GBP. Um, okay, so it's laid out what's in phase one, phase two, phase three. It's highlighted some things with flags, and the flags mean no matching catalog product and will be added free text lines. Okay, that's interesting. It looks like those were workshops or supplier outsourced things, so that might be why. Um, let's go ahead and create the quote. Okay. So while it's going, remember that Eli is fully grounded in your data. So when it builds the quote, it's not guessing at products or prices. It's pulling from your actual price list and your product catalog that you've set up in Scoro. It's also going to be, you'll see this in a moment, going to be matching the line items to resources in your business, proposing who specifically, if your products and services in your catalog are assigned to individuals, it'll assign those individuals to those line items. Otherwise, it might assign a role, like a strategist, for example. So you know who should be working on this. If you've created quote templates in your Scoro account for your team to mix and match and customize and get started on their quotes quicker, it also checks those first to see if it should be using one of those so that your pricing and delivery methodology stays intact. Okay. So there was a fair amount of work to do there, and Eli's taken its time and done that. Let's see what it says. Why don't we just open that? It looks like it's created that quote. We should be able to see that. Here we go. Okay, so for those of you that haven't seen a Scoro quote before, this is what it looks like. We've got the phases over here with the individual line items, phase two, phase three, and phase four, and so on. And we can see in this column, there are individuals or roles already assigned to this. Again, it's pulling this pricing from our own products and services catalog. If I open up matrix view of the quote, we can just see that in a bit more detail. Okay, we've got an analyst, another specific analyst, consultant, EV director, project manager, and their rates, and so on, and the amount of time that's going to be required. Okay, so Eli's kind of laid out the quote for us and flagged the issues it had with certain line items that maybe needed outsourced suppliers and stuff like that. But I think the key thing that I wanted to point out is that, first of all, you'll notice that the quantities are all set to 1 hour. Okay, the way it works is that if the when you're building or prompting Eli, you give it a bank of hours. Let's say you tell it we have 100 hours to do this. Um, Eli will propose the quote structure, much like it's done, and distribute those hours across the quote line items and spell out that breakdown in the scope outline, right? If there's a budget instead of hours, or there's neither, it kind of proposes a structure. It maps the right products to each line item. And like it's done, it sets 1 hour as a placeholder to create the quote. From there, it's up to us to keep the conversation going and ask it to distribute the budget properly now that it's set up that structure, or we can manually go in and just now change the quantities. Let's say this is going to take 20 hours. I could go ahead and type that. So let's say we want to see if this quote is actually possible, or this project is possible to deliver within the deadline. But you know what? Those 1 hour tasks are not realistic. So I'm just gonna let's see what's going on here. I'm just gonna refresh this page. I think my internet's died. Hopefully not in the middle of a go back. There we go. Okay, there's my quote with the 1 hour quantities. I'm just going to open up Eli. I'm going to go back to that conversation and say update all time quantities to 20 hours for each line item. I know in a realistic scenario that would likely not be the case, but just so that we can see how Eli works when it's trying to check availability for us for a project, it might just be more interesting to look at if we have some hours set against those tasks. Okay. While that's working, I'm going to get my next prompt ready. There we go. All 16 line items have been updated 20 hours. So I'm going to refresh the page and there we go. All of them say 20 hours. Okay, so let me put in my next prompt. What would be the feasible deadline for this given our resource availability? So now Eli's not just looking at the quote, but it's also cross-checking it against the team's actual workload and availability. And this is quite a complex ask since we have quite a few line items there and work to be done. Plus, quite a few team members are needed. So Eli's pulling information from a lot of places at once. And in this case, that's bookings, capacity, existing commitments, it's checking time off, it's checking all of that before it gives us an answer. But should be coming back in just a moment. Here we go. Good news. The client's, let's go out back and see. The client's end of year deadline is very achievable based on the current team availability. Completion around 11th December is possible, giving you a comfortable buffer before end of year. And it's giving us an estimate for when all the phases can be complete, how much capacity various people have. Um, Certain people, myself, have a lot of capacity. This is a demo site after all. Before confirming the deadline to the client, there's a few things that I might want to action in the quote and so on. Okay. So we've got a realistic deadline based on who's actually free to do the work, not just a guess. So it looks like we'll be able to start the project shortly and deliver within the time frame that the client has given us. Okay. That is our 4 scenarios. There's before I go, oh, this is just updating from that previous, that's okay. Um, the other thing I wanted to give an example of, I'm not going to demo it here, but people notoriously hate timesheets, right? One thing you can also do with Eli is at the end of the day, open it up and say, hey, I spent X amount of time working on this project and task and this amount of time working on this project and task. Can you go ahead and complete my timesheet? So, a really great way for those that are just really lazy with this to just be able to use Eli, and you can just kind of estimate how much time you might have spent on one project or the next, and it goes and logs that for you on those tasks, and you'll see that available in your timesheet. I'm going to stop there where we're running out of time and we'll get back to looking at some of the stuff in the roadmap. Okay, I'm just going to hit stop there. You should be back on my slides now. Hopefully, you found some of that impressive, but I'm really excited to share with you the roadmap of stuff that you're working on. Again, the stuff that you've seen just now, you can go ahead and try, and please do, and put some challenges to Eli and share your feedback with those icons I was mentioning earlier in the chat, thumbs up, thumbs down, and share your feedback about what worked or what didn't work so our team can get to prioritizing that for you. So Eli obviously can handle a wide range of workflows, but over time, we're continuously teaching it dedicated workflows, rules, and skills so it becomes more reliable and proficient at the tasks your team does every day. And I mean that literally every week, we're making improvements to what Eli has access to and what it's capable of doing in the system. So here's some of the stuff that we've been working on as we speak. First, you'll be able to upload files directly into your Eli conversation. So that includes project briefs, call transcripts, client documents, which then you can use, for example, to create quote templates. So there's a little visual there where there's a few files dropped on, and the prompt says, check these files and relevant products to create the quote. Okay. Second, Eli will also be able to do billing schedules that are managed through scheduled invoices. So we used to schedule invoices at my past agency at the start of the project. We'd raise a prepayment and then we'd raise a number of scheduled invoices so we knew when that revenue was expected. So you can get Eli to help with that process, which can be quite tedious to do manually. Navigate Scoro like a person. So Eli will be able to navigate Scoro the same way you do, understanding what you're looking at, moving between views, pre-filling forms for you, highlighting relevant elements, and guiding you through tasks, not just describing the steps that you need to follow in the chat. Fourth, you'll be able to manage Eli the same way you manage people on your team. Onboard it, add it to your projects, delegate work to it, and supervise it using the same kind of motions that you already use with your team. This one's quite exciting as well, and I'm going to share it with you in a prototype in just a moment. Eli will be able to work without being explicitly asked. Okay, so it's going to be continually monitoring and flagging issues, preparing summaries, and surfacing important information for you proactively. You can trigger it on a schedule. Get it to run on a certain day or time of the week, for example, or get it to fire automatically when a certain event happens in Scoro. And it always follows up with a certain kind of reaction to that. And lastly, Eli will go beyond Scoro specific workflows too. It'll be able to follow your company's rules and processes. So it doesn't just do the job, it does it your way, which I think is super cool, including helping new team members get productive in Scoro faster right from day one. The main idea I want to convey here is pretty simple. We're continuously teaching Eli the expertise it needs to handle more of your business workflow better, faster, and more reliable than before. Which brings me to that little preview of one of those features, Eli working without being asked. So let me go back into that demo mode. All right, you should be able to see the screen of this prototype open. We happen to be working on a quote at the moment, but that doesn't really matter. Today, you can ask Eli how a project is looking, right? And it gives you an instant answer. What's coming in Eli is doing that check automatically on a schedule that you set or triggered by something that happens in Scoro. So instead of opening Scoro and wondering which of your projects might be going off track, like you might be doing today, Eli flags it for you proactively. Let's imagine that we've set Eli to run a project health check every Monday. Eli will review each project on its own, and when it finds something that needs attention, like a deadline at risk, a budget that's creeping over, or a resource gap, it can come to you. Okay. So notification pops up, kind of like we've just seen up there. And let's see what it says. Okay. So Eli's done one of those health checks. And what it said is that I've completed the scheduled review of this campaign and found some items that require attention. Based on the current task progress, it's unlikely to finish on time. The deadline of the project's in 16 days. There's a resource planning conflict. And Jane has some availability in the coming weeks that could provide the resources we need. So, bad news for the Sunny business campaign. But you can see that Eli proposes some solutions right there on screen, and I'm able to pick the one that I think is going to work best. In this case, I think let's try adding Jane to the project. So, Eli goes away. and does that, right? It's updated the project team and assigned the task to Jane, and also notified her of the new tasks that she's got in her to-dos. Now, this project health check is just one example. The same logic applies across Scoro in terms of getting Eli to do things on a regular basis, or you will be able to. For example, you can set Eli to set up a project as soon as a quote gets signed off, right? Rather than manually going through that motion. Uh, or when a timesheet deadline passes, Eli flags to those that haven't logged their time for you. Or when a project hits a certain completion status or percentage, then Eli prepares the client update. You'll be able to set the trigger and define what Eli should do in each of those cases, and Eli will handle the rest. That's where the roadmap is heading. So now I'm going to switch gears slightly, stop sharing, and we're going to talk about how Eli works behind the scenes in terms of credits. I'm gonna stop sharing this. All right, so we are back on my slides. Here we go. How does Eli work? Eli works on a credit-based system. Every time Eli does something for you, like pulling a report, checking a project, adjusting a booking, it uses a small number of credits. And the more complex the request, the more credits Eli uses. But every Scoro plan comes with credits included, and they're pooled across your whole company. So whoever needs more work done with Eli can get that, and so on. And if you go through your credits, you can easily get additional ones as an add-on. And soon you'll be able to see exactly where you stand with your credit usage more directly via your settings. So that's something we're looking at adding really quickly. So that's everything in Eli itself. But before we close out, there's one more thing worth highlighting. Everything I've shown you today is about Eli, the AI that's directly built into Scoro, but that's not the only way AI connects with Scoro. MCP, Model Context Protocol, gives AI platforms like Claude or ChatGPT access to Scoro and any other platforms that support MCP that your business relies on, like Gmail or Slack or maybe your CRM system. So it's the connective layer that lets your AI work across that whole tool ecosystem. So say you have Scoro and Gmail both connected via MCP, you can open up ChatGPT and ask it to pull the key details from a client email that's just come in and add them to the project description or to a task in Scoro. ChatGPT handles it right there and then, and without you having to switch tabs or copy and paste the data. And so MCP enables that cross-tool workflow orchestrated by AI, and it's really powerful. Some of our new customers are doing some great things with it and working with our customer success team. They're using it to input legacy data from their old systems into Scoro to help speed up that onboarding process. So really exciting the ways that you can use that. And for any teams that are building their own AI agents and connecting their tools via MCP, this just really opens up even more possibilities with what you can achieve. But that's an entire other world of use cases for Scoro with your LLM of choice through MCP, and not one we're focusing on today because we're almost out of time. But if it's relevant to how your team works, then you should know it's there, and it's a really exciting way to work. So do connect it to your LLM, check that out. So what you've seen today, everything from analytics and answers to questions to project health, resource adjustments, meeting scheduling, all that kind of stuff is in Eli right now in Scoro, ready to use. And what's coming will make it even more powerful. So you don't need to wait for tomorrow to get started. For those of you that are already Scoro customers, I hope at least one thing I covered today made you think that, yes, I need to go and try that. So don't wait. I'm personally super excited about that quote building demo I shared with you. Getting that process even more efficient is super cool. So the moment you close a webinar today, those of you that are customers, open Eli and just ask it something. It can be anything. It doesn't need to be complex. Start simple and see what comes back and go from there. And remember, you can also use Eli for advice on how to use Scoro or to do something. That saves you guessing or having to ask a colleague or look up an article in the help desk. Eli can help you understand how to do anything in the platform. The people that are getting the most out of Eli aren't the ones that are planning for the perfect scenario or the perfect prompt. They're just getting started. Okay. And for those of you that aren't using Scoro yet, I hope you've seen what having a single operating system for your business can do for you. It has huge benefits for efficiency, accuracy, and visibility into what's happening in your business, even before AI gets into the picture. And like I said earlier, to really see the benefits of AI for delivery, finance, and operations, you do need clean, structured, consolidated data that's up to date. That's what Scoro enables for your team. So do go to scoro.com/demo to arrange a demo to see how this could be a great fit for your team, or drop me a DM on LinkedIn. I'm Harv Nagra. If you'd like to hear why I selected Scoro for my past business, how we rolled it out, and the benefits that it brought with it. But thank you so much for spending your hour with me. We'll be sharing a recording of today's session very shortly. So if you want to revisit anything I showed in today or share it with a colleague, it'll all be there. All right. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thank you again for joining us.